Today we are talking about number one, and that is you. We are talking about you, your relationship with yourself, your relationship with God, and your relationship with others. Hide that cord. Often I will have women come to me and they're feeling stressed, they're feeling overwhelmed, they're feeling stuck, they're feeling judgment within themselves. When you go online and you see how someone else is living or doing or accomplishing, you're judging them. Typically, when we compare ourselves to others, we're either looking at ourselves as better than or less than. It's just never helpful. And we may be trying to control our home, control our kids, control our spouses, control our environment. And oftentimes, when you try to control others and control things that are out of your control, you feel stressed and overwhelmed and frustrated. And you'll also lose 100% of the time. You cannot control reality. It is happening. Now, maybe you're feeling some perfectionism and you're feeling like, I have to do it right, or I can't get started. You're putting off a goal or pursuing something because you feel like you have to get it perfect or you have to have it all figured out before you get started. But actually getting started is how you figure it out. Or maybe you are in this place. All of these are, again, coaching myself, and that is people pleasing. Perhaps you're doing things just like we read before on what those regrets were for those that were dying, and it was that I wish I wasn't living a life that others expected of me, but living to my true authentic self. And this people pleasing, doing things to please parents, doing things to please family or neighbors, or you want others to approve and like you. And how disconnected that relationship can be and not genuine or vulnerable, or you won't feel safe in being who you truly are or sharing how you truly feel about things because you're not being yourself. They don't know who you are. So any of these, yes, I can relate to all of them. Now, typically when I'm coaching, women will say, I want to feel more peace. I want to feel more calm. I want to experience more joy. And these are all available today. You do not have to put off. I love listening to Abraham Hicks, and she focuses on what do you want to create in your life. We spend so much of the time in our brain and in focusing on the things that we don't have, the things that have gone wrong in our life, the circumstances that didn't go our way, and we spend so much energy and time, and we bring this vibration that is staying in the past, that's keeping us there. But what if we want to experience more peace, calm, and joy, or whatever emotion you want to experience here? We have to be intentional. So these are the three things we're going to focus on today. Allow, this is huge. Allow, letting go of that control. Love, unconditional love. Unconditional love and intention. We're going to look at number one, allow, two, love, and three, intention in relation to yourself, God, and others. What does it mean to allow? Oftentimes we think this should be different, this person should be different, this experience should be different. I call this shoulding on yourself. We don't want to say it should, or I shouldn't have done that. I should be doing this. I should be waking up early. Notice that when we're thinking that, we're not allowing the current state or the current circumstance to be, which really is peaceful and it's actually very neutral. We're adding on some unnecessary suffering with judgment, with guilt, with shame. We're putting all of those layers on there. But if we step back and we allow reality to be reality, we're going to feel so much more calm and peace. You will lose 100% of the time you try to control reality. I think of it like so with teaching my kids this concept, with my kids, one will come up to me and say, so-and-so hit me. Another one will say, well, they hit me first. And it's like this. It's like, he hit me, no, you hit me, no, you hit me. And they're pushing back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And I teach them, guess what? If you step right here, they have to keep coming towards you. And you're like, oh, I'm not going to come back with the same, I'm going to get them back. I'm going to get them. But if you step back, you create a lot of peace. You are the peacemaker. You can state, I don't like when you do that. I'm going to go over here. But typically you're feeling frustrated and angry and you want to do the same thing. But it's the back to that concept, two wrongs don't make a right, right? But I love to teach them to ease the tension by just not allowing it to happen. We're no longer fighting against each other. This can happen also in disagreements with my husband. Sometimes we won't agree on parenting concepts, and It could be like when the kids have snacks or their food. And so I'll say, I give them a snack at 4, and he'll say they shouldn't have any snacks because it's going to be dinner time soon and they need to eat their dinner. And I'll be like, what? And so I've had to pause, and instead of saying, well, I'm right, no, you're right, no, I'm right, no, you're right, I will step back, and I love to ask myself, what's right about their perspective? What's right about their perspective? And I'll think, you know what? They do eat their dinner. And it's not even a matter of who's right and who's wrong. It's just what creates some compassion and some peace. What creates this space where this is very neutral. I actually love the phrase, you're right. And it's not like, oh, you're right, just to let it be. But I truly step into, why are they right? Why do I believe that? You can do this with anyone's perspective. You could do this with other religions. I'm like, why is that religion they've got some things right there. What's right about that? And there's this practice of no backbiting or gossiping or talking illy about other people behind their back. You talk about them as if they're there in the room. You talk the same. I love that. I'm like, I'm going to adopt that. That's so good. That's so right. So we can adopt those concepts and those things. And even if it's something where like, I disagree with you, but what part of that is right? Okay, that might resonate with you and you might be like, I hate that tool, Nancy. That's okay. You don't have to agree or use everything that I offer here. Most definitely don't. That's what's beautiful about this is you can take the things that work good. Okay, with yourself, allow yourself to have the human experience. When you make mistakes, you yell, you miss the workout, you push snooze on the clock. We want to go to being our biggest bully and judging ourselves and feeling guilt and shame. I shouldn't have eaten that. But what if we allow, I did eat that. I should have eaten that. And then we give ourselves compassion and we give ourselves space and we're just being our own best friend. You can ask yourself, what would a best friend do? Become your own best friend. Allowing with God, we can say, I shouldn't be experiencing this, or this is not fair, or the cards I was dealt are not fair. And something that is completely out of our control, we're causing a lot of just unnecessary suffering because we are not allowing this path to play out. We're like, wow, have you ever paused and thought, God's given me this journey because He's given me strength. He's given me other people in my path that are the hands of God to help me out. There's like so many things that if we pause and we see that are playing out that are so different than probably what we expected, but that is where we allow the path to play out. Just allowing it to happen creates so much more peace. And it doesn't mean that we have to compare each other's pain or say, well, I've lived through this or that. That's not the goal here. It is just to create neutral space and then allowing with others. I coach on this often because a lot of times in relationships, we might think something like, well, if only they would do this, or I would never do that. Like they didn't even call me on my birthday. My friend didn't call me or plan anything. I would do something. I would go out of my way. And I have to say, well, they're not you, Nancy. They're not you. Not in a rude way, but they're not you. They're going to be as them as they can. And I love to use their name. They're going to be as blank, whatever their name is, as they can. So pause in your life. Is there ever a relationship with others that you're not allowing that person to be as much of themselves as they can? You're trying to change them. You're trying to make them more like yourself. You're going to create so much more peace for yourself by allowing them to be themselves. And then you get to choose. Do I want to be around them? Do I want to interact with them? That's your choice. Okay, number 2, love and unconditional love. With love, what am I going to say? No. With love, I love this concept from Byron Katie. She talks about how I'm going to love you. Nope. Okay. Number 2, love. Let's start with love and self. So this self-love, I know we could go, the entire video could be on this. But when you pause and think, I'm judging myself or I'm stepping, nope. Okay. Number 2, love. Okay, let's think of your relationship with yourself and your own lovability, and for people to love you is infinite. Let's just first get that straight. You are priceless. There is nothing that you can do or say or that will change your ability to be loved, okay? There's nothing that can change that. Now, there are sometimes we make decisions or do things that we experience less love in our body, and we experience less love, we feel some other emotions like shame and guilt and judgment. And that's just a different journey, different experience, but nothing changes your ability to be loved. So looking at love and yourself, are there any areas that maybe I could practice some intentional self-love? Is there any areas where I could lean into compassion and offer myself that rather than judgment? Back to this first concept on allowing, being your own best friend. What would a best friend do? What would my mom do? What would my mom say? How would she comfort me in this moment? Like, what would someone who you know loves you so much, what would they say? What would they offer up? You get to be that person for yourself. Okay? Number 2, unconditional love and your relationship with God. I think of the example of Jesus Christ, and I can never see him hustling from one thing to the next like I do all the time. And I have to be very intentional. I have to pause and think about this. Like, he even noticed when someone touched his clothes, he stopped. Whoa, like, who was that? Paused in the moment. He was present. He wasn't checking off a list. He had that beautiful unconditional love. It's pure light, pure joy. And just the more I can study the love of Christ, I think that I can experience that in my own life and offer that to others. And then the third thing, I love this relationship, love and others. Now, Byron Katie teaches this. She says, I'm going to love you and there's nothing you can do about it. And this will be something I coach on often, is people will come and they'll say, well, they did this to me and I can never forgive them. I'm so frustrated and so angry. I'm so mad at them. And I'm like, have you tried to love them? They're like, no, I can't. They did this. They don't deserve it. And I have to remind them that it's the only person that not loving someone is hurting. We think somehow it's going to jump out of our body and benefit them. It's only hurting you, holding on to hate and frustration. And if you're in a spot where you're like, I just don't know if I can forgive this person, have you leaned on this one and offered it to God? Like, I know you love this person unconditionally. Can you allow me to experience some of that? Can I feel some of that? And so when you are thinking, I can't love this person because they did X, Y, Z, it's not benefiting them, it's actually hurting you. And so to feel love in your body is one of the best things. And there's different layers and different types of love, but to feel it in your body is so fun. What if we could just love more things? It's so fun. Okay, the third and final thing is intention. This was my word last year. Well, it's currently still this year, 2024. And when I think about intention with self, back to those 5 things of those that were dying and those topics, number 1 was I didn't live in alignment with who I am and what I wanted to do. What if this intention, we so often go through the steps of, okay, I have to do this. Okay, maybe it's like, I gotta go to college, I get a job, I get married, I have kids, and we're following this roadmap that the successful here say, and you can feel like, oh, I'm off the map, or I'm out of alignment, but what if you paused and really checked in with yourself with what you want to pursue, what you want to do? I love to ask women, what do you do for fun? What's a passion you have? What's a desire you have? What do you want to create in your life? And sometimes we don't give a lot of time or thought to it. We get so caught up in hustling and doing the day-to-day that we don't pause and allow intention to step in with those inner desires. Once upon a time, I had this desire, I want to homeschool. I don't know where it's coming from. I just want to do it. And I wanted to travel with my family. And it's so fun to live in this very moment, because once upon a time it was an intention, and once upon a time it was a dream and a passion. Today I am homeschooling my kids. It's like resurfaced this beautiful purpose within. I've reignited this joy and this love for something. I love teaching. I've been teaching students online, and I just have been experiencing this beautiful journey that I had an intention for. I didn't just sign my kids up for school and just follow the map that typically all my neighbors are doing, or what I expected myself to do. I paused and I really listened. It took journaling, it took time, and it took permission from my husband. But I loved it. We were able to do a month in Hawaii. It was just like one of those moments where a friend of mine said, "You're glowing." I'm like, it's because this is something I really, really wanted, and I'm doing it. I wanted to coach one day a week, and I'm coaching one day a week. It's so cool that I'm able to do that. So connecting with yourself, what is something that you want? The second one, intention. This is something that I really want to work on. And it's not just checking the boxes, read your scriptures, say your prayers. It is like being more intentional. What kind of relationship do I want to have with God? What do I want to study today? Do I want to study love, unconditional love? I don't want to check those boxes and put it as something that I just do because I want to stay safe and I want to just appear as though I'm well off or doing well. But I really want to be intentional. Like, what does a relationship with God truly look like to me? And maybe it is spending time with, I think my husband does this so well. He spends time with a variety of people and personalities, and he really gets to know their hearts and not their status or their title or how much money they make. And he'll say, oh, this person's so cool. And then when I meet him, I'm like, what? Like, I have all this judgment, and I'm like, they're so awkward and weird. Like, and he's like, did you hear how they talked about this? They're so genuine and kind. And he has that beautiful intention with others. I'm like, oh, I love that. It's something I'm working on is judgment. I'm like, I step into that initial, like that first date where you initially judge someone based off of how they appear or just whatever that is. But what if we could be intentional with others? You are most like the 5 people you spend the most time with. And if you think about those 5 people, and you're like, okay, with my family, there's some friends, and if there's any groups, or maybe they're talking about others, or maybe they're bringing the stories of I'm so busy and life's so hard, and you just don't especially want that energy, can you spend less time with them? Maybe it's you step into other friend groups, or I loved this assignment that I was given. I'm in this group where we're studying how like technology and electronics and our kids are growing up with it and the safety around that versus we have the safety locked in on wear your helmet and don't play with knives or fire. But then we give them an iPad and it's like here, and we think that that's safe. And I loved that she said, go and find those that are a little further than you. Maybe their kids are a little bit older. Ask them, is there anything they would have done differently in relation to electronics and internet and phones? And ask them what they learned or what they would change. And I thought that was such helpful advice. Not only is it the relationships you have with others, but the intention on questions you ask them. What do you learn from them? What wisdom can you gain from them on what they would do differently or if they were to do it again? And you get to learn and reap from their experience. I thought that was such helpful advice. Okay, 3 questions to ask yourself. I want you to put these in your journal. Number 1, what is an area in your life that you feel tension, friction, stuck, you feel uneasy? I use the example of a relationship with one of my kids, so I'll answer that one. It would be I feel friction or tension with, I feel frustration and like a child shouldn't be throwing temper tantrums at their age. That was the thought that I had. Number 2, what do you want that experience to feel like? What do you want it to feel like? And I think I want to feel peace, calm. I want to allow the experience to unfold. And I want to manage my own experience, not the other person. I don't get to control that. But I really want to feel peace and neutral. And the 3rd question to get you there is what would you need to change to do so? Now, it would be so easy to change that child. And maybe you've thought that before, if this child was just different or whatever your circumstance is. But we know we can't change someone else. We can't change a circumstance always. And so if I have to change something, I had to change my own story. They should be acting like that. And I actually love that this child's very stubborn and very hyper aware and it would be sensitive. And of course, they're acting like this because they have this beautiful gift where things are very big for them. And I get to teach them how to regulate their emotions. Who's better to do that? I'm teaching you guys. I'm going to be teaching you in this entire series. So those are the 3 questions to ask. Again, this was the video all about you. I hope it was helpful. I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.